Okay. Good morning, everybody. Was everyone able to select their language? Cool. Great. Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for accommodating my change in the date for this meeting. So, it looks like a good number of folks were able to make it, which is a relief. But as always, we are recording this, so for those who can't make it today, we'll be able to watch later. So, as an icebreaker, I thought it would be fun to have folks. I'm maybe running a little bit out of icebreakers at this stage of the game, but I thought you guys could put your name, your pronouns, and your favorite typeface. So, like your favorite font that you like to use. If you don't know, then you don't have to share. But maybe you like Calibri, maybe you like Times New Roman, maybe you like Comic Sans MS. I don't know. Feel like I can learn a lot about you guys in this through this icebreaker. So I will share my screen. Today is going to be about going through question by question the tax credit application. So this was by request from some of our strategic plan meetings. This came up with the Denver Metro group. They said this would be really helpful, so we're going to do it. So just want to remind you guys, if you ever have thoughts for what would be a helpful use of these monthly meeting times, please don't hesitate to let me know. If you want to talk about it, it's probably something that other folks in our outreach and TA team want to talk about as well. So, yeah, just putting our monthly reminder for when your due date for the next quarterly report is. So the period that we are in right now, July through the end of September, that report will be due the end of October. And then this, I'm just gonna, again, keep on our agendas for the remainder of this contract period. Just a very firm reminder that when this contract ends over a year from now, there will be a very, very, very strict deadline and no flexibility around invoicing. So the sooner you can invoice us for the work you're doing now, the better, so that, we can all be ready for the end of the contract so that you guys get your full amount for the contract for the work you're doing. Any questions about that? Cool. All right. We've got a few quick updates here. In really exciting news, we finally got the green light from Department of Revenue to send out our tax credit certificates from the June 30th period. So I just fired those off like 20 minutes ago. So yeah, another reminder about the time period there. This statute says that the Department of Agriculture has 90 days from the beginning of the review period to get those letters out. So we got these out in about 50 days. So we're still well ahead of that schedule, but I know it feels like a painfully long time for those who are waiting to get a certificate. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's the time frame. Unfortunately, no amount of requesting will hurry along the process. I think what might make this process go faster is when we are done with the grants. So yeah, that's a little bit about that. Any questions about folks who got a denial letter or folks who got a certificate? I know a few of you were copied in those communications. So thank you for your time helping those applicants from the June 30th review period. Let's see. Oh yeah, another reminder, September 30th is the next deadline. I think you guys are all aware of that. Big news. There was for a number of reasons, there was a reinterpretation of the nonprofit allowability. I could tell you the whole story, but the result is, I know we have made a big to-do about how if you are a business that does not file taxes, does not have a tax liability because you are a nonprofit, you're not eligible for the tax credit. This has been reevaluated, and it was determined that grocery stores that are nonprofits, so this doesn't mean nonprofit farm stands or nonprofit organizations that have a farm. It's just businesses that meet that first definition of small food retailer. So less than 10,000 square feet, carries 3 out of 4 federally defined staple foods in the low income, low access area, et cetera. Those kinds of retailers, if they are nonprofits, they are eligible for the tax credit. So you guys are some of the first to hear about this. We're going to make a big announcement on our website and in a newsletter. From what we know, this will affect, we only really know of one organization that this may impact, and we've sent them a direct communication. I'm curious if there's anyone that's coming to mind for all of you who you felt like, oh, if only this tax credit was open to nonprofits, this grocery store could apply. Lauren, I see you nodding.
Yeah, and Susan, I don't know if you're on the line and can talk and jump in right now, but do you think Fresh Food Hub and their like retail store would fall into this category since they're a nonprofit?
You know, we don't have a retail space, so it's all online. So I don't think that we would qualify, which is unfortunate, but the way it goes. I'm happy that other people are able to.
Okay, so Mickey, because there's no physical retail space, they're not eligible. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Penelope.
I don't understand. So like what I guess what I don't understand is what's the benefit received?
Oh, so how would the nonprofit get them any money? Is that what your
Yeah,
question is? Yeah.
because this is a refundable. I still don't get it. Yeah, I just don't get it.
You know, I don't fully, I think honestly, some of you guys know a lot more about how nonprofits file their taxes.
Yeah, we have to file a 990, but
Yeah.
I don't,
So,
yeah, I should be quiet and let someone else because yeah, I just have no, I don't get it.
I mean, here's what I know. Because this is a refundable tax credit, even if you don't have a tax liability as a for-profit business, you can get money back from the state. I do not know all the ins and outs of exactly how a nonprofit would file and claim this tax credit. This is the kind of question for a CPA or Department of Revenue. Yes, I think this is, again, a big challenge of this program and something I plan to talk about in the next bullet point is CDA is This program is administered through 2 entities. And you all know this, but CDA is the entity where a business applies to earn the credit. And we give out certificates saying this business has earned a tax credit, but the Department of Revenue is responsible for actually giving that credit. So you work with CDA to earn the credit, you work with Department of Revenue to receive the credit. So again, CDA has been told in very strong terms not to give advice on how, or not to really tell people how they should file, which makes sense because frankly, we don't know what we're talking about. Additionally, it's not legal. But it's very challenging when, yeah, you've been promised a tax credit through CDA. So I think let me explore the ways in which we can help people understand as a nonprofit how they can take advantage of a tax credit. But I do think that there will be a limit to the amount of technical assistance that CDA can provide, and to a certain extent, all of you guys. So on that same theme, this has come up with just something I want to clarify again for businesses that receive a denial letter. So we've talked about this in past meetings. Again, a business earns the credit through CDA and receives the credit through Department of Revenue. So if the business receives a denial letter, it is not because CDA has not communicated the credit to Department of Revenue. It's because there was an error in the way the business filed. So I do want to just make that clear. Our hands are tied with how much we can help someone after we've issued a certificate. And yeah, when helping them navigate how to file. That's unfortunately something that they need to go to Department of Revenue to ask for advice on or talk to their accountant. So I do just want to make it really clear that Department of Revenue will never have denied a business because they haven't earned the credit. So there is no amount of proving anything about I bought this equipment, I'm in a low income, low access area, etc., that a business will have to do to Department of Revenue. That's something you go through when you're receiving a certificate from CDA. Department of Revenue will deny because there was an error in tax filing. So I want to just make that clear. Lauren, what's your question?
I think it was answered with what you just said. Basically, I'm just trying to like think through the order of operations here. So hypothetically, this is a scenario where a business has already filed they've already received their tax credit, they've already filed their taxes, and then the Department of Revenue kicked back their taxes and tax credit, or just tax credit? Maybe that's the question.
So
Like, how would they
right,
know?
they would get a letter.
They would get a letter. Okay.
Yes.
After they filed taxes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
And
gotcha.
this is something that has happened, and folks have brought their letter to us. And so we've been able to sort of see what they look like. We've talked to Department of Revenue about these letters. We've asked if it's anything we are doing. Department of Revenue has said, one, we cannot talk to you, CDA, about an individual's taxes. Two, there has been no issue in the transfer of information. Three, the best thing we can do is tell them to follow the instructions on their letter, that denial letter. to fill out a protest. And that, as we understand it, triggers Department of Revenue to relook at the way they filed, ask for specific corrections. And we have not yet heard of a case where someone receives a denial letter, follows those instructions, and doesn't get the tax credit. Everybody has been able to get the credit after they follow those instructions. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna look in the chat here to see what I'm missing. Go ahead, Michelle.
I was just gonna read what was in the chat. Sorry.
Oh, great. Okay. So, all right. Erica says Boulder MOW has a grocery store. Happy to talk about that with you guys. Farmers markets are not, nonprofit farmers markets are not eligible. So it's just that first definition of small food retailer. Yes, yeah, Chelsea, you are accurate. Good. Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions about the nonprofit thing or the denial letter? Yeah, just want to, I think I do just want to make it very clear, Department of Revenue will never deny a tax credit because someone hasn't earned it. They'll only deny it because there's an issue in filing. And from what I understand, the most common reason is the confusion is created through like pass-throughs. So the way businesses are set up, either as an LLC or an S corp, you know, however, that actual credit does trickle through the business to an individual eventually, and there may be issues there. So that's me kind of talking about something I don't understand. So I would love to get more clear on that, but again, it's challenging because we've been expressly told by Department of Revenue that there aren't overarching sweeping statements we can make. It's very dependent on the individual business and what their tax situation is, which has a lot of factors. So, okay. Updates on the grant. We have 30 grantees left, still spending their money, which is so exciting. So we have finally hit that 75% done mark. I was aiming to be 75% done by June 30th, but here we are, August 20th, and still really happy to be here. So yeah, there's definitely still a lot of work in this arena for us. But we're really, really pleased to see how grantees are spending down their money and closing out their grant. So, yeah, we'll talk more once we've sent out more evaluation forms. We'll let you all know that those are going out. We would love to have your help encouraging grantees to fill those out. Those are going to be really important. But more on that later, once we've kind of sent more out. We've only sent out about 10 or so. Okay. We are in the planning stages for our next consortium meeting. We're tentatively planning for it to be late September or even early October. Try to do one once a quarter, but this is such a busy quarter for so many of our business types. And we've been hearing that things really slow down quite a bit in October. We are planning at this consortium meeting to focus on equipment tax credits. So what I have started to do is ask some of our consortium members who have received an equipment tax credit to talk a little bit about who they are, what they bought, how they made their case, what the process was like, getting the certificate, filing their taxes, what advice they would give to others, and whether or not they would do it again. So I think this will be a really beneficial meeting for our consortium members to attend, but I think it would be also really great for all of you, because I know you guys have been asking for concrete examples of what's an example of someone who got a tax credit, how did it work? So I think, as you know, it's always so challenging to navigate the information sharing piece of all this. So I think having the presentation straight from the person who received it will be a really good way to do that. So no date yet for that consortium meeting. I'm gonna try to, get our list of speakers lined up and make sure the date can work for them. But I will definitely let you know when we have that date. Okay, other questions about any of our team updates? Okay. All right. Well, I am going to jump over to our equipment tax credit application. So if you guys want to follow along, here's the application in English, and here it is in Spanish. And I would love for this to be not just me rambling and droning on and on, but many of you have helped businesses apply. So as we are on a question and you have questions about why we're asking that, please ask. Also, if you have advice for other TA providers about how to support a business in answering a specific question, we'd all love to learn from you. So, okay. I also do want to mention that in light of our last review period, we retooled one or two questions. So you might see something new on here. Okay, so here is our 2025 equipment tax credit application. Links to the website, of course. We do highly encourage everyone to read everything on our website before applying. It can save people time just seeing it all up front. Creating a login is a really handy tool, especially if you're a business who wants to apply multiple times. A lot of that redundant information, like your address, your name, will be saved and will auto-populate, so that can kind of speed things up. So I've seen some folks apply from one of your logins, which is great and totally fine. But yeah, we encourage people to create a login so that they can save their progress, and if they ever want to apply again, can be a little faster. Okay. We also state here that if you got money for your equipment from us, it's not eligible for a tax credit. So we've had this up here since the very beginning, but folks seem to be still confused about this. So yeah, just a reminder on that. If they got $50,000 from us, from our grant, for something that cost $100,000, they can apply for a tax credit for that $50,000 that they spent of their own money. Okay. So then we have a series of kind of screening questions. So is your business Colorado owned and operated? If not, You don't get to see the rest of the form. You don't get to move forward. Does your business file taxes in the state of Colorado? Is your business registered with the Secretary of State? We've received some questions from you guys about this. Essentially, their business needs to exist, right? So it's not a big process to register your business on Secretary of State's website. And we need to see that it is an entity recognized by the state as business, right? So if the answer is no, that would be a great time to go onto the Secretary of State's website and register the business. It doesn't take long. A note here, it is important that the name they're entering matches what they enter with the Secretary of State. That can create a lot of confusion if it's not matching up. Okay, did you purchase your equipment in 2025? Yes, you can continue with this form. If not, you can go back to the 2024 form if you filled it out then, or if you bought it then. If you bought it in 2023, there is no opportunity to get a tax credit for it. And if you haven't bought it yet, it's not time to apply for a tax credit. Okay, is your business in possession of this equipment? Do you have it? Are you using it? Yes, great. No, if no, it's not yet time to apply. So we encourage folks who maybe they put in a down payment, they haven't received it yet. It's very important with this tax credit that the equipment can demonstrate an impact, even if it's a small one. It's very important that that box is checked. So yeah, if you've gotten a part of it or it hasn't been fully installed yet, we ask that they apply at the next application cycle or at an application cycle after which they have installed it, they're using it, they can see an impact. And we can talk about this a lot more later in the form. And then this is along the same lines. Has your equipment been in use by your business for a period long enough to demonstrate an impact? Yes, great. Now, it doesn't need to be a substantial impact. It just needs to be any kind of impact, right? If the business has only owned the equipment for a month and they know there will be a huge impact in the future, right now they're only seeing a small impact, that's still fine. We just need to see something from the past tense, and it's okay to talk about the impact in the future, but we just have to have that box checked of there has been an impact already. Okay, and then, yeah. Any questions about these screening questions? Okay. Why do I need to log in again? Okay. You guys can see this, right? Yeah, okay. All right. So, yeah, email address. Yeah, I mean, you guys can put your email address if you, we prefer that we have the email address from the applicant, and you can always put your email address in this box here. So yeah, I really appreciated that suggestion to have right up top, like the TA CC'd. So yeah, please utilize that. Yeah, legal business name exactly as it appears in the Secretary of State's database. So, if they forgot how they registered their name, they can go to the Secretary of State's website and look themselves up again. But yeah, that is very helpful when all those things match. Okay, first name and last name. So the certificates that are sent to the business do require an individual's name on them. So I am a little fuzzy about who this needs to be. Like if any of these denial letters are caused by someone's name on the certificate that isn't like an official owner of the business. We didn't really get a straight answer when we asked, but in most cases, the business owner is the applicant. So this shouldn't be a big issue, but if you ever have a question about whose name should be in this application, please reach out and we can work with Department of Revenue to try to get an answer. So, okay, address. Yeah, there's many opportunities, especially for farm stands, to showcase all of the addresses where they either sell to retailers or, yeah, have a pop-up market wherever they retail their food. Lower in the application, there's lots of opportunities to indicate that. This address should be their official. Where do they receive mail? What does it say on Secretary of State's website? This is the address we're going to put on their certificate. So you'll also note that we require a 9-digit zip code because Department of Revenue wants that. So yeah, you can do a quick little what's my 9-digit zip code search in Google if you don't know it. Okay. County, that's pretty straightforward. It's drop down. Okay, business tax ID number. So it's very important that they take care to not make an error in entering their business tax ID number. Another note on our application, if you ever see a little I in a circle, it has help text that you can, I don't know if you guys can see this in Zoom, but if you hover over it, it will pop up with a little bit of help text. So we encourage everyone to read the help text. Yeah, and just make sure that's accurate, no typos. We do, you'll note, for those of you who were copied on an email where your applicant received a certificate, you'll note that we do say if there's anything inaccurate about what's listed on this certificate, please let us know so we can correct it. But yes, it's always easier if things are perfectly accurate when they enter it in the application. And then indicating if this is a social security number, an EIN, or an ITIN. Okay. Phone number, just so we can have another way of contacting you as needed, but most communication will be via email. Okay, so this kind of gets at that question of, most of the time, yeah, the applicant is the owner, just because we're working with small businesses here. But if it's another person, we do want to be able to contact the owner. Okay, and then is your business BIPOC led? This is just for us to be able to report back on our impact. This is a self-identifying free form answer. If your applicant does not identify, no is just fine. If it's a little nuance, you can elaborate, you can share as much as you want, you don't have to share anything at all. Okay, so that's kind of the personal information and demographics section. Anything, I'm going to pause here. Any questions, comments, advice from those who have helped businesses? Cool. Thanks, Carly. The 9-digit zip code is also on the business license if they have that posted at their business. So cool. Cool. All right. Well, we can move on then. Okay, so this is very important. What you select here will dictate all the rest of the questions you see on this page. So we did have a circumstance where someone selected the wrong, they selected small food retail business grocery store when they should have selected small family farm. And that led to them not answering most of the questions that were required of them, and their application was denied. So, yeah, it is important. There is also a lot of, yeah, it's confusing if you're a farmer and you sell at farmers markets. Which one of these should I use? We have on our frequently asked questions page under other business eligibility FAQs, a little guide on, yeah, farmers that fall into that situation, which is many. So the answer is, if you're a farmer that sells at a farmer's market, we encourage you to fill out the small family farm application and get a letter of support from the market. Okay. Where was I? Okay, great. So we'll just kind of go through this for each one. So if the retailer, the grocery store, is a member of the Community Food Consortium, we just ask for the consortium member number. The reason why is, in order to be a member of the consortium, they needed to submit all of these documents with, there's a lot of things to upload as a grocery store, whether it's the staple food invoices, the proof that their business is 10,000 square feet or less, their current retail food permit. Also, if they kind of already did all of this and received a letter of eligibility, they can upload that instead of uploading all those receipts again, and invoices and blueprints, etc. So that's why we asked that question, to just save them a few uploads. But if they're, coming to this program for the first time, we do need all of those things. So, yeah, we've got kind of 3 major criteria for grocery stores to prove they're eligible. The square footage, the having a variety of products, and then this retail food permit shows us that they're not delinquent with health and safety regulations. So, yeah, I think a lot of you guys should be familiar with this unless you're brand new. We do have some newer folks joining this work. Any advice from more seasoned TA providers on how to help grocery stores fill out, or upload their eligibility documents? Okay. All right. And if they, we have these little buttons to repeat this field. So, if they have 3 separate invoices for their staple food categories, they can upload them separately. They don't need to combine them all into one PDF and upload them in one spot. So whatever is easiest for folks. Okay, so next question is around the qualifying area. So we've talked about this quite a bit. But yeah, we've got all of our links handy here on the application so people can go to these maps and see if they fall into eligible areas. So, gosh, I hate how this, okay. Yeah, so here is that Healthy Food Financing Initiative map. This is the map with sort of not filtered by Leela. So to see all of the Leela areas, go to New Map, this little caret drop down, supporting information, and select USDA low income, low access tracts. And then you can see all of the Leela tracts. You can also select limited supermarket access areas for information from that map, which we do consider eligible in the application. So very important to identify, you know, is my business, is my grocery store located in one of those tracts? If not, then, you know, a little more elaboration is needed, right? So yeah, we do want to hear, you know, if a business is located in a Leela area, you can say, yes, we're in a Leela area here. If not, we do need to hear more about how that business is serving a Leela population. And we've talked a lot about this, you know, is it SNAP? Is it, yeah, can you confirm that there are populations that have no grocery store in their town and they are coming to your store because it's the closest access point? Topics like that, right? So, okay, describe the food landscape in your community and why there's a need. So, you know, it may feel a little redundant to answer this question after this question, but we're just giving everyone an opportunity to know what we want them to say, right? So we do want to hear about what it is like for folks living on a low income in your community to buy food and why, how do you know that you are serving them? Okay, and then, you know, just a quick opportunity to share more about what's the story behind your business, when did you open, what's your focus, what's your goal? This doesn't have to be super lengthy, but it is helpful. It allows you to provide more color on what your business, yeah, why you're in this business. So, questions and comments about the Leela element for retailers, grocery stores?
A question.
Okay. Taylor.
I have a question. So I'm a little confused between the Leela and the HFFI eligibility areas because it looks like
Yeah.
they are
So,
different and that the application takes you to the HFFI.
yeah, we can't take someone just to the Leela map, unfortunately. So we kind of have to give these instructions of like, go to this map and then, you know, select new map, HFFI eligibility, supporting information, USDA. Taylor, I wish so much, is my number one wish that we could have our own map. But even HFFI, which is a lot better funded than we are, cannot produce, like, it's just so much work to create this map. So the reason why we are using their work because they have, yeah, the best map out there showcasing where Leela areas are. So yes, it is important to do that filtering. And then really note, like, you know, if your business is right next to a Leela area, like across the street, you know, yeah, like building the case in that way. This HFFI eligibility is for a different program, and factors in, like, calls areas eligible for their program if they are adjacent to a Leela area and the area median income is below, I believe, 120% of the state's median income. So
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting those two things confused.
yeah, it's the other element here is that HFFI did their own analysis to identify limited supermarket areas. So, you know, we do consider, like, an area identified by this national group as a limited supermarket access area to be eligible for our program. But we don't consider these sort of like adjacent census tracts to be automatically low income, low access. They can be eligible for the tax credit. They just need to do a little bit more to explain how they are reaching a low income, low access population. This is, in my opinion, like the hardest part of the whole application. I mean, it's designed to be easy for some that are located in those Leela areas. And it really is. If the store is located in one of those USDA low income, low access census tracts, it truly is, yes. And it truly is, you know, like a description of, yeah, answering all these points here. So yeah, here's where most people shop. Here are the other stores in the area. Here's, you know, who we serve. For those who are in an adjacent census tract, yeah, we need a whole lot more. We need to know, this question becomes a lot more important. What, yeah, do you offer ways for folks living on a low income to buy food in your store? If so, what's the percentage of your sales or transactions that are going to that population? So let's see. Yeah, that question goes away if you don't select anything there. Yeah, if you select none of these programs, you know, yeah, we'd love an explanation of that to help us understand, you know, what efforts have been made. Okay. That is the section for grocery stores. We'll now go through the same questions, or yeah, the questions that farm stands, farmers markets see. Same, you know, questions. If there are consortium members, spare them from uploading. Ere.
Gracias. Sí, pregunta. En nuestros comercios es muy común encontrar que una tienda de abarrotes también se divide en una tienda de miscelánea, donde venden artículos, ropas, zapatos. A la hora de medir el espacio cuadrado, ¿restarían ese espacio?
That's a really good question, Ere. Yes, that, so technically, gosh, wait, that is a really good question. I know that area doesn't include like backstock, or if there's a kitchen, that part doesn't count. Anything outside, like the parking lot, the whole square footage of the building, it's only the retail area. I need to read the legislation again to know if it's only the food retail area, or if, right, the area that is being used to sell clothes and shoes also counts. Yeah, it's less than 10,000 square feet of retail space. So I do think that those extra items that are those non-food items do count as part of the retail space, but not the backstock, not anything where customers can't go. Does that help?
Yes, thanks. Just to let you know, yeah, a lot of our stores divide with the carniceria one side and tortilleria the other side, and miscellaneous, and yeah, that is really, really common in us. Thank you.
I would say if it's like any restaurant space, does not count as retail space. So if it's seating for, buying prepared food, that does not count. But I can double check with our attorney on that interpretation, but I believe retail space does include anything you're retailing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just write this down. All right. Very good question. Okay. All right. So for the the farmers that are small food retailers, they need to prove their eligibility by demonstrating that they can accept SNAP or WIC, or they've already submitted an application so that they can eventually accept SNAP or WIC. So we do ask that these folks redact their FNS number. Yes, okay, yeah. And also if they submitted a letter of eligibility, they can upload that instead. All right, so kind of same criteria here for what counts as a qualifying area. We really do want them to add all the places where they sell their products. So let's say they maybe have a farm stand that pops up, on 5th and Main. So, yeah, we want them to spell that out and speak to, is this in a LELA area? And if not, does it serve a LELA population? And then they can add another location. Maybe they put, wherever their sales outlets are. Yeah, this is their opportunity to talk about. One thing I do want to say is and we'll get to this in the equipment section, but it is very important that their equipment is used primarily to grow food or sell food to a LELA population, right? Or to LELA areas. So this is going to be really important if they are listing, okay, I'm setting up my farm, a pop-up market, and it's not in a LELA area. Okay, all right, I'm setting up in another location and it's also not in a LELA area. We do need to see that the majority of the usage of the equipment was for the goals of the program. So something to keep in mind there. And when we say primarily, we mean 51%. Okay, so yes, this question is another opportunity to yeah, similar to the store's opportunity to just talk more about what their operation is, explaining any other activities it has, that can go here. And then we do want to know, as we all know, there are many farmers markets that don't sell a ton of food. So this is their chance to kind of talk about this as a critical food access point. And then we have a similar question here with food access programs. Okay, I think I saw a question in the chat. Do they need to accept SNAP at all sales outlets? Yeah, that's technically, to be eligible, they need to be SNAP authorized. Could you talk more about the specific example you're thinking of? And I'm so sorry, guys. I need to have a little snack. Is that Susan?
Yes. So a producer that accepts SNAP at a farmer's market, but also has a self-pay pickup. So, and obviously does not accept SNAP at that self-pay spot.
So this is one of those tough examples of, does this business fill out the small food retail one or the small family farm one? Because if they're selling at a farm, or sorry, if they're a farm that's selling at a farmer's market that accepts SNAP, they are not authorized to accept SNAP. The market is. So in this situation, if they are not SNAP authorized as a farm business, I would encourage them to fill out the small family farm application. Does that help?
Yes. That brings a little clarity to the situation. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about that?
I had a similar type of question, so I was grateful when they asked that, because I was just recently talking to a farmer who, according to online SNAP retailer locator tool, indicated that they accept SNAP, but they don't exactly locally. So it turns out that the farm is working in collaboration with a farmer's market in Fort Collins that I believe takes SNAP, but they at their actual farm location do not have like a retail space. They don't, but they do participate in CSA and some like delivery of said CSA, which is interesting, but they don't accept SNAP at that time there because they're not set up to do so. So I was also trying to deliberate, like, would they be the small family farm, small food retail business? And so definitely nuanced.
It is nuanced and it is confusing for a farmer who attends markets. And we saw this so much. We saw this so much in applications for the grant and for tax credits is, I take SNAP, but they don't have an FNS app with a number. They've never filled out an application. They just attend markets where the market accepts SNAP and then they do the bucks at the market. So in that situation, I would either encourage them to accept SNAP or fill out this form as a small family farm and have the market submit a letter of support that says, we accept SNAP. We see a lot of SNAP customers shopping at this farmer's booth. They bring products that our SNAP customers want and need, and they're a vital asset to our market. That helps.
That does. Thank you.
Cool.
I just wanted to jump in because this is different from all the advice that I've given to businesses to date. I was under the impression that if for example, I'm working with a farmer right now, 70% of their sales come from a farmer's market that they sell at. that accepts SNAP, Double Up Food Bucks, WIC, older adult nutrition program vouchers. And because of that, because the equipment purchase that they're requesting this tax credit for is primarily used for their growing and selling activities at this farmer's market, that they should apply as a small food retail business, and that the FNS number they should submit is the farmer's market, like SNAP and WIC documentation. Okay, that's incorrect.
No, it should be theirs in their name. Yeah, the FNS number, an application should match the applicant's name. I'm sorry this has been confusing. It is confusing. It's actually very hard to put people in categories, especially, yeah. Farmers don't always see themselves as retailers. But yeah, we do, yeah, they would not be eligible if they submitted the farmer's market's FNS number. It would have to be under their name. What we've done in the past is just encourage them to fill out the family farm application after they do that. But yeah, if you can, yeah, direct them to this application, that's a more straightforward way for them to demonstrate we're going to this market. Yeah, the equipment we bought is either used to grow at this market or sell at this market. And the farmer's market would be responsible for saying, yes, they do sell at our market. We do accept SNAP. This vendor, whatever percentage of their sales goes to SNAP, etc.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So real quick, would they need to get a letter from the farmer's market indicating that, or is that something that the Department of Revenue would follow up on?
No, we'll talk about that. They need a
Okay.
letter of support. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a big part of what small family farms need to provide. So, but back to, well, I think we maybe got through all these questions. So yeah, we can move on to the small family farm application. So, the documentation we need from small family farms is proof that they don't make more than $350,000 a year. So we need their Schedule F, that's their tax form, or whoopsie, whatever tax form they do file. And if they haven't, they're a brand new farm and they haven't yet filed taxes, they can upload a profit and loss statement from, the year that they're filing. Okay. So we still have the same information about where qualifying areas are. And then we ask them to identify all the retailers where they're supplying food. So when we say retailer, we mean the small grocery store. We also mean the farmer's market. So you can see, add another retailer, and folks can add as many retailers as they supply to. So if it's a farmer's market, yeah, we would need all, just be at Lafayette Farmer's Market, whatever it is, where the address of where the market sets up, essentially. Not like the headquarters of the market, but where retail activity occurs. And then, speaking to, is this farmer's market in one of our qualifying areas? And, what's the food landscape here? And then for every retailer, whether it's a farmer's market or a store, we need a letter of support. And we do ask for a lot of things in these letters of support. So I would encourage your, applicant to have talking points prepared for this letter of support, because this letter of support is for the business, but it's also for the piece of equipment. It's just that extra level of like, yes, they bought this equipment and yes, it led to an impact in the past tense. So, this is essentially, I mean, we all know this. Farmers, this program was designed for retailers, and farmers are also eligible. They are just further upstream from the actual impact. So it is more difficult for farmers to take advantage of this opportunity, but this letter of support basically is a verification from the retailer that yes, we do need more access. We struggle with supply of this product. This farm is a viable supplier of these products that we need. We have been working together. Maybe it's a new relationship, but like we do work with this business. They have sold products to us. They did buy this equipment that they're applying for, and it did result in a capacity expansion. And here's how that's affected us and or our customers. So, if they've been able to double their production and lower their price, we've been able to pass along that price decrease to our customer. Or because of the tractor they bought, they can grow so many more types of products. These are products that these are types of products that our customers want, and they've benefited from this increase. So we need all of those points. And then if they are a vendor at the farmer's market, we just need the farmer's market to verify, yes, we accept SNAP or other food access programs. This vendor does accept SNAP. And in fact, their sales are to that population are this percentage of their total sales. So this all supports their claim that they are reaching a low income, low access population with the equipment that they bought. Okay, I see some questions in the chat. Who can issue that letter of support? So we need the letter of support from every single retailer that they cite as a retailer that their farm supplies. So if it's a carniceria that the farm supplies, we need that carniceria owner to supply a letter addressing all these points. So the applicant can go, if there's elements that, and I think like the main area where the farm might want to educate the retailer providing the letter of support is with regarding the purchased equipment and the increased capacity. So yeah, that is who supplies the letter. So retailers being stores and retailers being farmers markets. Yeah, thank you, Lucy. Okay. And then beyond that, another chance for the farm to talk about the products that they grow, maybe some of their growing practices, whatever they want to tell us to provide more context for their application. And then an opportunity to list all the farm sales outlets. So if they sell to a wholesaler, maybe they sell to a distributor, they can put that there. Maybe they sell to restaurants, maybe they sell to schools, maybe they sell to specific CSA. All of that is something they can put in the farm sales outlets. Question about farmers and the application they fill out. Okay. We have about 15 minutes left. I kind of expected this to go long, and we have a whole other section for equipment. So yeah, we can get started in on the equipment section and finish up anything we don't get to in the next monthly meeting. Or sooner if you guys would prefer that. Okay, up next on the equipment section page, this is where we're starting to talk about what equipment was purchased. So they should read through the types of eligible equipment. If they are selecting other, but it's expressly listed as not eligible on our website, then that might not be the best use of their time to fill out the application. So yeah, each of these questions may have slightly different follow-up questions based off of what the type of equipment is, but we'll start with cold storage. So yeah, tell us what you bought and why you needed it and how it's already increased access to healthy food in a Leela community and is going to continue to, right? So one thing I really want to stress, and we talked about this earlier, is it has to have demonstrated an impact. It doesn't need to be a humongous impact. It just needs to have been impactful. So yes, this is sort of a narrative space for that. Lower down, we have like this is the new element we added, a more pointed opportunity for folks to express the actual increase in sales as a result of this equipment purchase in dollars per month. So yeah, maybe they've already seen increased total sales. Maybe they've already seen increased sales to customers shopping with EBT, etc. Maybe they've seen something else and they can put a narrative there. Maybe their hours have expanded. The key thing is we need to see something that has already happened. And it is okay to talk about the projections for the future as well, but they need to at least have been using the equipment and seen some kind of impact, even if it's small. Okay, was this equipment primarily used for eligible activities? And we've got a little help icon here. So yeah, personal use is never an eligible activity. Eligible activities are selling food to a Leela population. This is most nebulous for farmers, right? And this is why we ask on this page, for all of their sales outlets, eligible or not. But if 90% of the products that a farm is growing goes to a Michelin star restaurant, and they bought a tractor, and they have one outlet where they sell, to a handful of SNAP customers, unfortunately, the tractor's not eligible. It was not primarily used to grow healthy food to expand access. So, yes, we get a little more specific about that when we ask about farm equipment and vehicles. But equipment was primarily used for eligible activities, just say yes. Okay. This question can sometimes cause confusion or just feels a little like obtuse, but it can feel redundant. And maybe this application does feel redundant if you're answering our questions the right way, but we get a lot of applications from businesses selling foods that it's not entirely clear that they're wanted, needed, desired, in demand, affordable to a low income, low access population. So this is a fake example, but so let's say there's a farmer who's technically eligible and they grow hibiscus flowers and they use these hibiscus flowers to make hibiscus ice cream. And hibiscus ice cream is sold for $30 a pint. The question is designed to help them explain to the review committee why hibiscus ice cream and their farm and whatever equipment they bought is helping to reduce food insecurity in Colorado. So that's why we have this question. Does anyone have any questions about this question?
Can you, I know we've talked about this before, can you remind me where eggs are supposed to go? Which food category?
Oh, good point. Oh my gosh. Why did someone else asked about this? Where are eggs supposed to go? Yeah, I mean, I guess I would put them in meat, but I'm gonna make a note to like actually call out eggs.
Hey, Mickey, Chelsea weighing in. I was the one who had asked you about this earlier. And I think in our touch base that we had landed on with the other fresh proteins, either that or dairy, but since nutritionally eggs are more of a protein, then obviously they're not dairy. But that's just what we had landed on before.
Okay, so I mean, this is the protein one, right? Yeah. We'll just add it to this. We'll just call it out specifically. Thank you guys for putting that front and center. I knew there would be something that you guys would notice in our application specifics. Yeah, go ahead.
One other thing, I was just gonna say we have a lot of dried bean production in our region. Should that also go in the protein category?
Yeah, or other culturally important foods. But yeah, maybe dried beans. Let's find a home for dried beans.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there aren't that many foods that aren't considered healthy foods, but if it's not one of these check boxes, the review committee might have a few more questions for you about the food. Okay. All right. So, all right, let me go back up here. We did all this. These only pop up if you select that, these specific boxes. Okay, and then yes, here's yet another question that might feel redundant, but we're just giving everybody a lot of chances to center the person who's living in a low income, living in a LELA area at the heart of their application. It's very hard to do because, yeah, if you're an applicant, you're thinking about your own business, you're thinking about your own activities, but this program is about helping expand access for folks who are living on a low income in areas where there's not a lot of opportunity to buy healthy food. So tell us about that person. Think about that person. This is a mental exercise. Think about that person and are they benefiting from the tractor you just bought? The truck you just bought, whatever it is. So yeah, that's their opportunity to expand upon that there. Okay. Now we get to proof of purchase, proof of payment. This is the part that creates maybe the most back and forth after the application period is over. But yeah, just ensuring everything is legible, upright. You can write notes on there. You can highlight, circle relevant information, redact things we don't need to see. Yeah, just being really careful and organized, it really, really speeds up the process. So you guys know all about this. We've got the proof of purchase and we've got the proof of payment. So you guys are experts on this. Proof of purchase shows you bought something and exactly what it is. We leave a space here for you to explain on the invoice. Item 3ZXY217 is the cold storage equipment that we bought. And, that's, often we get these receipts or these invoices that are like unintelligible. We have to do a lot of legwork on our own. So any clarification that can be provided for the reviewers is super helpful. Same with the proof of payment. If there was anything funky about, a payment being paid by someone else and what something happened, one account, a different account, just explain that and why you, and what you have in your upload there. Okay. If they bought the equipment through a financing plan, we just need to see what that agreement says. And if there was a down payment made or any monthly payments, uploading those too. And then any kind of explanation needed for that financing agreement. Okay. This is really important. Did you receive any other funds from a grant, any charitable donations, any other financial support for what you bought? Did someone else pay for it? As we know, that's a duplication of benefits. So if they say no, that's them confirming that they're not trying to double dip. So they should be honest about this, because if we do find that they did get funding from another source for what they're applying for, that could impact their ability to get tax credits from us. So, and they should be honest. If they did, they can upload their award letter or something from the institution that paid for the product, specifically showcasing what was funded and for how much. We love pictures. Pictures speak 1,000 words. So that's, they're always welcome to upload pictures. And then this dollar amount should match what they've asked for on their proof of purchase. And then it should match, be confirmed by the proof of payment. So if they submit an invoice and they are just highlighting a few things on that invoice, it should be the sum of all the things from that invoice that they are asking for a tax credit on. In many cases, there's more than one invoice for their piece of equipment. So they can add another proof of purchase, proof of payment for another invoice with another way to demonstrate that they paid for it. Answer all these same questions again. And then here, this is total equipment cost. This should be the sum of this amount and this amount. So all the invoices that they submitted to us, the total of all of that. Okay, we've got 1 minute left. So I think it's a good time to stop. There's still more to say on this equipment section, so we can keep going if you guys like in a follow-up meeting. But hopefully this was a little helpful as you guys are supporting folks for the September 30th deadline. So any questions in our last minute together? Cool. Thanks, Barbara. Yay, that's so great, Perdita. Thank you. Okay, now I get to go look back at all of the typefaces that you guys like. Okay, cool. Well, happy to hang on if you want to talk about a specific grantee, or I'm sorry, tax credit applicant. If not, I'll see you guys towards the end of September. And thanks for listening to me drone on and on and on today.